In this video, we're going to explore working with TrueType text. And to access TrueType text, it's just like accessing anything else with lettering. You go to the text tool and you go over to the right and you'll find this little A with an arrow that points down. It says import TrueType artwork, or you can go to the floating toolbar. If you see the T in there, you can click on it and go to this little A right here and click on it. When you do, it's going to bring up a dialog box. And so let's explore how this works a little bit. You need to type in the word that you want or words that you want. And you might type in, I'm going to just use digitizing masterclass here. And after you choose your text, now you can go to this select. You can see that right now this font is Arial. Now, if I hit select, it's going to bring up a different dialog box. And the difference here with working with TrueType text is it'll show you the fonts that are located on your computer. Now, these are the same fonts that would show up in like Microsoft Word or something like that. This is not embroidery lettering. This is just regular standard vector text. So it all depends on what fonts you have loaded on your computer. That's what shows up here, not inside of your software, but inside of the computer, the one that the computer uses to work with, like things like your Microsoft products or anything else that you text or type text into. So everybody's will be a little different. I will have fonts in here that others won't have. And that's just kind of how it works. Each computer, you have different fonts loaded on them. There are a lot of standard fonts, but you can download different fonts and utilize them. So I can just choose a font like, let's just do this Comforta. And we have a font style here. Not every single one has a different style to it. Just to show you, if I go to Comic Sans here, you can see I have regular italic, bold, and bold italic. If I go to this comic, you can see I have regular and just different for each one. So each font is going to have different styles. Some of them might not even have a different style that's available to them. But if I want to use this one right here, let's just use this bold. It's kind of italicized a little bit. The next option you have is the size. So I can change the size of the lettering as it comes in. And you can see that that changes this little sample box, which actually is a preview of what the font will look like. So depending on the font, it'll change. So that's the way that you can, kind of figure out what the font looks like, is by just clicking on it and you'll see the options. So I'm going to go back to this one here. And this is basically the settings that you have for working with TrueType text. When I hit OK, it's going to come back to this box here. You can see that it tells me what the font is that I have selected. I have the word, and when I hit OK, it's going to load that into my software. Now, if I come over here to the sequence view, you'll notice that it brings in one letter at a time, and it's artwork. This is not stitches. The other way to notice that is with it all selected, you can see that the artwork tab appears, not text, because this isn't a text tool. This is simply just bringing in letters that are TrueType fonts that are located on your computer that aren't embroidery lettering. So how you would use this? Well, you could digitize it. You could auto-digitize it by clicking the convert to an auto satin, or you can use it for like vector cutters. Like if you have a cutting machine, you can use this and save it as a SVG file, and it will cut these letters out. So that's kind of, I work with TrueType fonts quite a bit. I might find a font that I want, and I might digitize over the top of it. And because I usually will digitize my own lettering, but I can work from a TrueType font as a guide. And so TrueType font, that's how you enter it. But there is another way of working with TrueType text that I want to show you. Now, this is kind of hit and miss. I'll keep that up there. I'm going to go to my regular text tool and I'm going to click on the standard text. option here, and I'm going to click here. It says My Text, right? If I come over to the Properties box, you'll notice that underneath the preview here, I have something that says font, and it has a TTF. This is TrueType font. If I select it, now what shows up here are all my TrueType fonts. Now the difference with bringing it in this way over the other way of actually using the TrueType text tool is that when I bring this in and hit apply, it's automatically converting it to stitches. Okay, so even though it was a TrueType font, it auto-digitized it. Now, I don't recommend doing it this way. There are a few reasons, but when you're working with regular lettering that isn't a TrueType font, see how this can kind of get messed up? That's working with a TrueType font, and it's automatically converting it. So that happens quite a bit. And that's what I was going to actually show you, is how it's just a little bit different. So the other thing is regular lettering that comes with the software that is for embroidery, ones that aren't using this TTF here, they're digitized specifically for embroidery. And so the way that the software treats the letters is much different. So if I come in here and I'm going to find like a regular block letter here. I'm trying to find something that's very similar to like the standard Arial font that you see here. This one's pretty close. It's a little bit more bold, but this will give a good, it'll show you pretty good here. If I bring this next to this word here, notice that when I click and drag, you can see those outlines, and you can see that the text is broken up into several objects there. But look at how this M is handled and the Y. You can see that this is actually digitized for embroidery, where this is an object right here. It stops, then this object stitches. They're all separate objects. It's not just one object converted to stitches like this one is. Notice how it goes around kind of the corner instead of breaking it up into different objects. So if I click on this one here and I, just look at that resizing, you can see that it's all one letter. It's not multiple pieces. See that letter M? It doesn't have any breaks in it. If I come back to this one right here, click on it, notice all the breaks in that letter. And what I'm talking about, those little lines up at the top, at the bottom, right in there. And those are letting me know that when somebody digitizes it, they actually digitize this letter right here as 1, 2, 3, 4 different objects, and that each break point shows the different object. That may or may not make sense, but just showing you the difference between one that was digitized for embroidery or not. If I come to this letter here, you can break it up, or that's a very common thing. You would want to break it up to fix it. I don't typically like to edit too much, but if I do, now I have just this letter M. I can select all of this at this point, and I can convert it to artwork. And you can see that's just like a TrueType text right there, right? So I can get it back into the TrueType text mode of being artwork, but it just takes me a while to do that. So I recommend going in and using the import TrueType text, and make sure you watch the video on editing as we just talk about the different ways that you can edit. There's not much you can edit when it comes to TrueType text. It's basically the same thing as just editing any artwork, because each letter is individual and you can come in at that point and you can modify it. But it's not the same thing as keyboard lettering. So that's how you work with it. You just click the text tool, click on the import TrueType text, type in what you want, select the font that you want, and the size, all of that. And then you just press OK, and it brings it into the software like you see there. So that's how you work with TrueType text.